Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good morning. I am Walid Mohammed from Group 6, Subgroup Group 2nd. My group member include Bilal Mohammed, Shahzad Amara, Hassan Sadul, Wahab Abdul and Rais Hanan. The topic which we are going to discuss is the contraction of skeletal muscle. So first we will discuss what are skeletal muscles. Skeletal muscles are striated, voluntary, multinucleated and non-branch muscle. What is the basic unit of skeletal muscle? The basic unit of skeletal muscles are myofibrils. Now I will come to the contraction of the skeletal muscle. As the nerve impulse receive the presynaptic membrane, it causes the calcium which stimulate the release of the neurotransmitter, and the neurotransmitter is released by the help of calcium, which is stimulated by with the help of nerve impulse. The neurotransmitter, for example, acetylcholine, is stimulated, transfer from presynaptic membrane to the synaptic cleft by gates. From the synaptic cleft, the acetylcholine neurotransmitter is transmitted from the depolarization. By depolarization, the postsynaptic membrane action potential occurs, and this action potential move across the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Now I will invite Bilal Mohammed to explain further.
My name is Mohammed Bilal. I am from Group 6, Subgroup 2. And today I will like to explain the reason of the contraction of the muscles. And as the previous Walid has explained the generated action potential, and now I will explain further. This generated action potential will travel along the sarcolemma of the muscle fibers and will travel to the T tubules, and then from the it will enter the terminal ends of the sarcoplasmic reticulum, where it causes the release of these calcium ions. And now, what is the sarcolemma? Sarcolemma is the plasma membrane of the myofibrils, and the T tubule is the imagination of the plasma membrane. And the combination of the T tubules and the sarcoplasmic reticulum is called the triad. And then, what is the sarcoplasmic reticulum? Sarcoplasmic reticulum is the complex network of the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, and it is also known as the site of the calcium ions. And the reason of the contraction is the sarcomere. Sarcomere is the contractile unit of the myofibrils. And then I will like to invite the Sadul.
My name is Sadul Hassan, and I would explain the model. We are the brilliant students of Ma'am Sadakova. He is very innocent ma'am, very talented ma'am, and he is very hardworking. Now I would like to explain what is muscle. Please take a side. What is muscle? A muscle is a soft tissue. What are the types of muscles? There are 3 types of muscles: skeletal muscles, cardiac muscles, and smooth muscles. Our topic is skeletal muscles. And what is the purpose of skeletal muscle? The main purpose of skeletal muscle is the main function of the skeletal muscle is to provide contraction. And why this? What is the purpose of this contraction? The main purpose of this contraction is to provide the movement. Now I would like to explain the hypothesis. The hypothesis was given by Andrew and Huxley and the Roth. In 1954. This hypothesis was sliding filament model. What is sliding filament model? The sliding filament model is that the thin filament slides past the thick filament and the muscle is contracted. Now I would like to explain the contraction of the muscle. The sarcoplasmic reticulum releases the calcium. This is the calcium, and calcium goes and binds to the troponin. A troponin is a 3 polypeptide complex. One end of the troponin is binded with the actin, and one is binded with the tropomyosin, and one binds with the calcium. Now after the binding of the calcium to the troponin, the heads of the actin are now free to attach with the thick filament. And now I would like to discuss about the ATP. ATP is a complex of 3 components, which includes a nitrogenous base and a sugar and a 3-phosphate group. The ATP attaches the head of ATP binding site of the thick filament. When the ATP binds the thick filament, the head is activated This had the ATP is hydrolyzed into ATP and the ADP and phosphate. When this ATP is hydrolyzed into the ADP and the phosphate, the thick filament attaches the actin filament and the muscle goes the sliding and the muscle is contracted. Now what happens in the contraction I would like to explain. The axon disappears, the thick filament remains the same, the Z lines come close and the actin filaments come close to each other like this, whereas the M line remains the same. Now I would like to explain the relaxation of the muscle. When the action potential is inhibited at the neuromuscular junction, the membrane is again repolarized, which causes the sarcoplasmic reticulum to close its calcium gates and the calcium is not released, whereas the ATP and ADP is again attached and hydrolyzed to ADP and phosphate, and the heads detachment. The detachment of head causes the relaxation of the muscle, and again the actin myosin come to their places and the H zone again appears, and whereas the M line remains same and the myosin filament remains same and the muscle is relaxed. The source of ATP is the mitochondria which is present in the muscle. Now I would like to call Amara to explain further.
My name is Amara Shahzad and I would like to explain the topic rigor mortis. Basically, rigor mortis is a condition when there is the stiffening of body and the body muscles. The causes of the rigor mortis are when the person dies, there will be no production of oxygen and no chemical changes occur in the human body. When there will be no chemical changes occur in the human body, there will be no production of ATP, and when there will be no production of ATP, the muscle will remain same in the contractile position. When the muscle will remain in contractile position and calcium and ATP will not be produced to the muscles, the muscle will not be able to relax and contract again. When the muscle will not able to relax again, the insufficient production of ATP and calcium ion will cause the rigor mortis. Basically, rigor mortis occasionally occur when the death of the person occurs. After the death of the person, 2 to 4 hours are required to retain the original position of muscles and the body parts. When the original position of body parts are occurred and the muscles are regained to their original position, then the muscle will not reoccur. There are 3 stages of rigor mortis: autolysis, boat, and active decay. In active decay, there is the insufficient production of ATP and calcium ion, and autolysis there will be the breakdown of muscles and the muscle will not reoccur. Now I would like to call Abdul Wahab to proceed further.
Hello, I'm Abdul and I will conclude this topic. The contraction of muscle depend upon the conversion of ATP into ADP and the production of calcium ions. When the ATP hydrolyzed and convert into ADP, calcium ion release, that is called contraction of muscle. And again, ADP convert into dehydrolyzed and convert into ATP, and at that time calcium ion do not release. That is called relaxation of muscle.
Thank you.
Thank you from group 6 subgroup group 2.